Child, if you want your hair to grow so you don't get picked on at a comedy show, or if you need the strength to slap the shit out of somebody for disrespecting your wife, then drop down in the comments and click the link to purchase this NutriBurst, this tea, and these other fine products. Nessa girl, Will Smith done fucked up the thing. Oh, wait a minute. Is it Chris Rock that fucked up the thing? Either way, last night at the 2022 Oscars, somebody fucked up the thing. And we finna talk about it. Wanna talk about it? Here it go. Nessa girl, let me turn the fan on real quick because it's finna get hot. Now y'all always know how the world turns. I was laying in the bed, sleep, minding my business like I always do. I don't know what rock I was hiding up under, but I wasn't even aware that the Oscars was coming on last night. And even if I was, I probably wouldn't have been that interested. Nevertheless, child, around about 12:30, 1 o'clock, I woke up, and to be honest with you, I thought somebody had done died. My phone was ringing and buzzing so much in my sleep, I actually stayed asleep longer because I was like, whatever news this is I'm about to face, let me at least be well rested. Baby, when I turned my phone on because I had woke up because I had got hungry, baby, it's the clips of Will Smith open hand slapping the dog piss out of Chris Rock. And the internet seems to be divided. And I want to preface this video by saying I pride myself on normally being very direct and succinct and finite in my thoughts. But there may actually be a bit of double speak from me in this video because this situation is very nuanced and there's so many moving parts. And there's, a legal part, an emotional part, a physical part, a humiliation part, a professional part, a code of conduct part, an etiquette part. There are just so, a protect black women part, a protect my spouse part, a sickness and health part. There are so many moving pieces to this story. And I just got out of the bathtub and I took a bath this morning versus a shower because I wanted to sit down and get some mental clarity and figure out how I would approach this subject. So here is where I decided that I would start. I decided that I would start with the things that I think most reasonable, rational, and logical people can agree on. So here are a list of those things. I think we can all agree on that it's just completely improper to walk on one of the largest stages, on one of the largest nights in Hollywood that's being televised live and slap the shit out of somebody. Regardless of the reason, I think most people can agree that it is not appropriate to sashay your ass from the audience and slap the shit out of somebody in front of 52 million people on live TV. Then casually stroll your ass back to your seat, sit down, and tell somebody keep your wife MFing name out your mouth not once, but twice. Will Smith no single-handedly got ABC all the fines from the Federal Communication Board or Commission, FCC. They got all the fines. And y'all got his address. Go ahead and forward the invoice over there to Will Smith house. Or better yet, I know where you can find Jada down to that red table. Go ahead and send that invoice over there. Because them people, ABC, should not have to pay them fines that Will Smith has caused them to incur. That's number one. I think most of us reasonable people can agree with that. Here is my biggest issue. My biggest issue, regardless of the reason of why it transpired, is that the Will Smith slap has completely overshadowed the night. All right. It's not fair, first and foremost, to Will Packard. This was his historic night. They gave it to a black man to produce the Oscars. And from the bits and pieces that I did see, they were flawlessly executed. And it was a beautiful, creatively designed Oscar night. That should have been the headline this morning. Will Packard puts on amazing Oscar show, first time in history for black men. Instead, the headline is, and will forever be, y'all remember that year when Will Packard did the Oscars and Will Smith slapped the shit out of Chris Rock. I don't even know, beyond Will Smith winning the Oscar for King Richard, because that's the only thing that's been talked about right now, how he got up and accepted his award after slapping the shit out of Chris Rock. I kid you not, it is 8:04, and granted, I didn't go looking for it, but just through casually scrolling through my timeline, I don't even know who else won any awards. Normally by 8:04 the next day, y'all have already started the hate campaign about how the Oscars are unfair, this person was robbed, this wasn't the best movie, best film should have went to that. I have not heard any of that booty chatter this morning. All of it is Will Smith, yada, yada, yada. Something else I think we can agree upon. I think we can agree upon the fact that Will Smith put a small stain on his legacy, considering the fact that last night was his first Oscar win. And now that will forever go down in the annals of history as the Oscar win that came synonymously or simultaneously with the slap in the face of Chris Rock, right? Something else I think we can agree upon. No matter how you want to slice it and dice it, we in here with our good clothes on these good white people stage. Yeah, and it ain't about impressing white folks, so on and so forth. I get all of that. But we got our good tuxedos on these good white people stage on the night that a black man produces the Oscars, and we got two black men getting physical on the stage on the world's platform. I mean, this shit literally is overshadowing Ukraine and Russia at this point. Y'all still with me? I still think these are all things that we can agree upon. At least most rational people. Something else I think we can all agree upon. If good thing Chris Rock did not choose to go the legal route. Good thing that he didn't. That he just took this one on the chin. He gonna take the humiliation that comes along with it, and he gonna let it ride. Or better yet, he's probably gonna make a shitload of money creating content off of it. Whatever the case may be, he probably sees the bigger picture. But Chris Rock, if he wanted to, would not have been wrong had he decided to press charges and file a police report. He wouldn't have been wrong. Regardless of Will's reasons, he would have been within his fullest right, within the fullest extent of the law, to press charges on Will, no matter how y'all want to slice and dice it, and no matter which side of the line you fall on in this story. Something else that bothered me from the clips that I've seen, everybody's talking about Will, Jada. Nobody's talking about Chris Rock. I mean, did anybody check on him? Did anybody check on Chris? Has anybody checked on his mental well-being? And I know y'all saying, what about Jada's mental well-being? And I'm going to get there. Just stick with me. Something else that I want to point out. The privilege of it all. And please don't take this out of context and misconstrue my words and turn this into something it's not. All things constant, security should have removed Will Smith and party and escorted him out of the awards. That's proper protocol. And it's the privilege of it all. That did not happen. And maybe that was an executive decision because the producers knew that he was winning an award, so that would have made things even more awkward. But if that was Matthew McConaughey or Tom Cruise who did that, I can already hear y'all in black Twitter. If that was a black man, they would have threw his ass out. He wouldn't have even had a chance to make it back to his seat. And y'all know it. Eric Benet has already jumped into the chat, which he should have just stayed in whatever cave his Holly Berry cheating sex phobia ass having a sexaholic ass was. But he raised a valid point. He said the privilege of it all. If it was a lesser celebrity like me, you know what I'm saying, I'd have been tossed up in the air. And that's the God honest truth. Those are things that we cannot negate, regardless of how we feel and how we want to justify Will Smith's actions. Now, let's start moving into some of the more nuanced conversation. And here's where we're going to agree or disagree or fuss and fight and all that type of stuff. It ain't never right to hit nobody, right? But we do live in a world and in a society where sometimes, slapping the shit out of somebody is just what needs to be done, right? I think the more appropriate course of action, if you was gonna slap the shit out of Chris Rock, would have been to slap him at the after party in front of a party of his peers and let him wreak the embarrassment of sitting there being slapped and whatever the case may be, and just not having this immortalized on film to forever be broadcasted across the world, to forever have it be synonymous with your Oscar win, to have it not become a Saturday Night Live skit between now and the end of time. Social media is never going to let this die. This has ushered in a whole new genre of slapping bitches. Don't make me Will Smith your ass. You know what I'm saying? It's just, this will live on forever. And I think it would have been cuter, prettier, and more Hollywood had it been one of those things that was just a rumor. One of those things where you just had to be there or whatever. Let's talk about this incident having history, right? Because we have to ask ourselves this question. Was Chris Rock aware of the fact that Jada Pinkett was suffering with alopecia? And some of y'all may argue that that doesn't matter, but it does, because it gives the joke a bit of depth, or it makes the joke relatively shallow. Here's what I mean. If Chris was aware that Jada had a medical condition, right? Because we would never laugh at somebody who shaved their head bald because they had cancer. If Chris was aware that Jada had alopecia, then Will Smith is 100% justified in feeling like he wanted to slap the shit out of him. Not getting on the stage and slapping him. Now, y'all ain't gonna get me to say that was the appropriate course of action. But I can totally understand a fire burning in you so bad that somebody chose to make a joke of your wife's health condition and to humiliate her in front of 52 million people. You know what I'm saying? And some people may argue, well, Chris's humiliation was worth the humiliation that he caused Jada, because it was nervous laughter on her part. She kept it cute. We don't know what conversations Jada has had with her husband in relation to her being insecure, or how she feels, or about having to struggle with alopecia publicly, despite the fact that she is beautiful with bald hair based on our eyes. She may not feel that way. That lady may want her hair. That lady may want long. That lady may want her Miss Peaches cut. That lady may want her long hair from Nurse Hawthorne. That lady might want her hair. So if Chris knew she had alopecia, she was dead ass wrong. Now, if Chris simply thought Jada just cut her hair or whatever to be bald, then it was a cute, innocent joke, and all else and everything else behind that completely goes out the window. Everything behind it completely goes out the window. Now, I want to give this whole situation a bit more context. Let's not forget that year where Jada was leading the boycott against the Oscars for discrimination and diversity. That was also the year that Chris Rock hosted the Oscars. And during his opening monologue, Chris Rock really had some zingers about Jada, and I believe Jada and Will as well. So there's a bit of history. There's a bit of undercurrent here, and there may have been a bit of pent up feelings and nigga, I couldn't wait to see your ass to get you straight, and you pushed me over the edge with this last one. This thing is just not as cut and dry as people want to make it out to be. I also want to point out that it's hitting the fan that Chris Rock has a history of this style of comedy. Now listen, I can't shit on Chris Rock's comedy style too much, because it also mirrors mine. That whole calling out the obvious, the socially obvious, making people slightly uncomfortable to get a laugh. Yeah, I have been known to do that. But one case example, somebody was quoted reporting that Chris Brown at an award show once made a joke about Oprah and Gayle being lovers, and that it was edited out, and that the room was so uncomfortable and Gayle was just over it. So Chris Rock is known for doing this type of thing. And it's weird because it's that Dave Chappelle thing, right? It's that thing we love, but that thing that also gets us in trouble. And I can relate to that a lot because the same exact reason why people love me is the same exact reason why people hate me. But I just wanted to give this thing a bit more depth, a bit more color as we move on. On the flip side of things, now here's what I'm going to take up for Will and Jada. Will dead at that shit. I can assure you it won't happen again. I can assure you that won't happen again from Chris Brown, Chris Rock, or anybody else in the presence of Will and Jada. As a matter of fact, I think people in the media are probably just going to back up off of Jada a little bit. There will be no more Laverne Cox slip-ups talking about entanglements on red carpets, because Will Smith has now garnered the reputation of, I will slap a bitch in front of 52 million people if you get out of line about me and mine. And there are some people, there's some of y'all out there that rock with it and ride with it. And the black man in me, I'm like, listen, I get it. I see how it happened. Now, some people have opted to make this a protect black women issue. And, I will let y'all decide if this situation fits that narrative. Y'all can go check out Nikki Gilbert's Instagram because she has a lot of choice words in that particular area. But I definitely will say this was a black man protecting his wife. And Will's reaction, in my opinion, lends itself to the fact that he is privy about how Jada really feels about what she's going through with the alopecia and stuff. And he did in that moment what needed to be done to defend his wife when she was left feeling vulnerable in front of the entire world. While it was not the appropriate course of action, I am pretty sure they had the most nastiest, kinkiest, roughest sex that they ever had last night. Matter of fact, they still probably having sex while the maid in there making French toast with strawberries and bananas, because there was something about that moment that said, that's my man. That's my man, baby. My man stand 10 toes, bitch. Bitch, I don't fuck around and got turned on just thinking about it, because that's what that moment was for those two. And be it right or wrong, and independent of what the rest of the world is going to think forever, that moment, if their bond wasn't already solid, baby, it fortified and super glued and reinforced and concrete encased that bond even more. Don't mess with Will and Jada, because, and I'm going to tell you something. Will is the punk of the relationship. So if Will will get up and slap a bitch on live TV at the Oscars, baby, Jada Pinkett probably going to take a rocket launch about hers. So y'all better leave them damn people alone, okay? Yeah, that's all I got. So let's have a conversation about this, y'all. Let's drop down in the description box and let's talk about this, because I got a feeling we'll be talking about this for a while. But what are your thoughts? And those of you guys who are new to my channel, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll call y'all later. Bye. Child, that man got slapped for calling somebody beautiful wife G.I. Jane Whew, God forbid he called her a bitch.